Hello, my awesome, awesome people. It's me. This is an episode of the Sabin video podcast. Lots of interesting things happened this past weekend that light's bothering me. I'm going to nail it real quick. There, that's better. So there's not some giant light glowing out from the back of my head so I look like an angel or something. I don't fucking know. Didn't look right. No, that's better. Lots of big things happened this past weekend, and I will try to cover some of it. Of course, these episodes are always because of one big man. His name is Joe Rogan and the Joe Rogan Experience Podcast, JRE. Without Joe, I would have never thought about doing this. Mostly because he don't give a fuck. And so I decided, you know what, I might as well give it a shot. His podcast is available on YouTube, Ustream, and iTunes. I have not seen him upload a new one lately. Of course, I think I'm in iTunes. Hoping he has. I'll probably listen to it a little bit later. Of course, we're also brought to you because of a huge thanks to the only energy drink I drink, in science. Sugar-free, 0 calories, no crash, no jitters. It's just fruity deliciousness. Some of those energy drinks have terrible aftertaste. This one does not. Today, I have mango guava because Meijer doesn't know how to stock their fucking shelf. This is the only flavor they had. And, like I said, it's delicious. I love it. I finally saw they're going to be changing the label and they're going to be changing the logo. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I did see a commercial. Pretty happy to see commercials. Maybe people will start to recognize Zions now as a real energy drink in the powerhouses, if you will, of energy drinks. You know, people know what NOS is. People know what Monster is. What's that one my sister used to drink? I forget what it was called. It was something else. It was the big drink at the time. Hopefully this will make its way up there, and it should be. It should be right up there with the top selling energy drinks because it truly is delicious. I, of course, am not sponsored by any of these companies, although I would love it if you would. Great if you sponsored me. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm just a really big fan. All right, so we're going to be covering NCAA football news, otherwise known as college football. I'm going to be covering something I don't normally talk about, but is just now getting interesting, and I'll tell you what that is here in a second. People are going to probably be upset with me when I announce it, but oh well. We're going to talk about the quarterback situation in the NFL. 3 big quarterbacks went down with injuries this past week. And we're also going to talk about some other things in the NFL, maybe some transaction-type deals, and just some overall movement questions. Hoopla. You know how we do this thing. Let's crack this baby open. Okay. I'll get to that little announcement in a minute. See, I'm reeling you in. I want you to watch the episode, then get to the shit part. I might do it last, just because it's something that a lot of people don't want to hear me talk about. In the NFL, 3 big quarterbacks, big name quarterbacks, go down with injury. The first one that is big news is Drew Brees went down with a rotator cuff injury. The second one, Dallas Cowboys lose Tony Romo with collarbone. And, of course, the Bears also lost Jay Cutler with a hammy injury. So let's cover the first one, Brees. So Drew Brees hurts his rotator cuff. I watched the hit. Not a real violent hit, but at his age, getting hit at all has to hurt. He was in the middle of making a pass, and he gets hit just below the shoulder. I feel terrible for him. I'm not sure how long he's supposed to be out. I've heard in the realm of 2 weeks. I've heard 3. I've heard a month. It depends on who you talk to. Of course, backing him up, and this is why I bring this up, is Luke McCowan. Luke McCowan, I believe I read today. I didn't write it down because I didn't get it from the greatest source in the world. I don't even remember where I got it from now that I think about it. It's not me making it up. I'll put it that way. He's only won 2 games in his entire NFL career. He is 34 years old. The reason I bring up his age at all is because there's a possibility you'll lose him to injury. 34 years old and playing in the NFL is really old. Now, see, in other sports, that's not as big of a deal. In hockey, 34, you're entering your prime. You can be fine. Oh, you broke a bone? You'll be out a month. You'll be all right. In football, 34 is old. You're getting up there. Most running backs nowadays are retiring at 30 because you can't take that many hits and be fine. You play at your, let's say you start football at your 22nd birthday. Around that time, you start playing in the pros. You've taken enough hits by the time you're 30 to go, fuck this, I'd rather be sitting on the couch. So, of course, like I said, Luke McCowan. If Luke McCowan is injured, who's going to back him up? You got Ryan Griffin and Garrett Grayson. Ryan Griffin, 2 years, I believe is what he's at now, out of Tulane. It's either Tulane or Troy. I think it's Tulane. He has basically no experience in the NFL. I have not seen him play more than maybe 2 downs. And backing him up is Garrett Grayson I believe he's from Colorado State. This past season, he's a rookie. You don't really want to give either of them the ball. You'd rather give it to Luke McCowan because at least there you have some form of veteran. You have someone who's been in the league, knows how it works, he's been in New Orleans for a while, so he probably has a pretty good handle on the playbook. It's not, trying to think of a good explanation, good example for this. It's not like Johnny Manziel his rookie year when they went, Hoyer's no longer starting, it's you. And he went out there and went, I don't know what play to call because I've never done this before. He's been there. He's been in those situations. He does know what he's doing. His brother Josh has been in that situation even more. I believe his brother Josh is older than him. He might be. I think he's 35. He's either 35 or 33, one of the two. He's either a year younger or a year older. Of course, he plays, Josh McCown plays for the Browns. He's currently injured. Out with a concussion. Questions about the overall play of the Saints. So, their offensive line is not that great. You got a really good center, but behind that center is your quarterback, and along that line, you got nobody. The center can block. The center, they got a great center, but you didn't put a lot of pieces with it. And that's really, screwing with, I'm sure it has to screw with the quarterback's mind. Also, to go with that, you lost Lance Moore. You traded away Kenny Stills. Don't know why. You traded away your number 1 receiver at tight end in Jimmy Graham to get a center that you could have drafted. I mean, I get you got a great center, but was he worth it? They got a great center and a first rounder. I'll give you credit for that. But you gave away Jimmy Graham. You got trade raped. Now I go to Dallas. Tony Romo is out with a collarbone injury. I have not yet been given a timetable of his returning. In fact, that's what he tweeted, was I don't expect to give out a timetable just now. To go with that, Des Bryant is out. He broke his foot. He's out. Okay, so I don't know how long he's actually going to be out for. I've heard 3 to 4 weeks, and now I'm hearing 6 to 8 or 6 to 10. So it's either they're blowing this out of proportion or he seriously hurt himself and he's done for a while. I think that the Dallas Cowboys are saying he's hurt longer, so teams go, oh, easy win, and then, oh shit, he's playing. But that's my opinion. Backing up Tony Romo is Brandon Weeden. Brandon Weeden, for those of you from Cleveland, know who he is very well. How do you know who he is? Let's see. Any game that you ever lost between 2000 and, got drafted in 13, So 2013 to 2014. Right? 2012, I apologize. He drafted 2012. I think he was there for 3 years. Pretty much every game you lost, you probably blamed on him. And I'll go ahead and say 50% of the blame is probably his. Every once in a while, it's a receiver dropped the ball, there's nothing I can do. But a lot of the time, I hate the argument that it's always the quarterback's fault. Well, let's look at the fundamentals. In Cleveland, you have a good offensive line. Okay, so it probably wasn't really the line's fault. You have a quarterback in Whedon who I personally think is not bad, but shaky. Who do you have at receiver? They have Josh Gordon. Okay, when has he played it down? Never. If he could stop smoking the drugs and getting high and drunk all the fucking time, maybe it'd happen. But he's suspended again. So he's gone. Let's count him out. Let's say you don't have Josh Gordon. Who else do you have? Benjamin. Pretty fast receiver, decent hands. He's a little shaky, but again, he'd probably help him out. I will make the opposite decision Ruxin made, and you have Jordan Cameron. I believe I'm correct with that. Or no, fuck, I made the mistake anyway. It's Cameron Jordan, isn't it? Or is it Jordan Cameron? God damn you, the league on FX. Now you're making me think about this, because I didn't write it down. Cameron Jordan. I was right the first time. I was like the white guy. The white guy is Cameron Jordan. If I'm wrong, fuck it. It's okay. I understand. People are wrong every once in a while. That's something I hated about school. Like, you can't be wrong. Wrong and I don't know are good answers. I'm probably wrong. That was me in math every time. I'm probably wrong. Why? Because I'm doing something useless. That's why. In this case, I'm not 100% sure. They have a tight end. Let's put it that way. They have a great tight end. That probably wasn't the problem. Who else do you have really at receiver? Well, at the time, they had Johnson. He probably didn't catch very many. He's at Grand Valley State. That's the reason I mentioned him half the time. He probably wasn't really the problem. He probably didn't play. Let's think about this year. We don't have any other receivers. So that was probably part of the problem. Let's look at your defense. Defensive line, not great. Middle, you're doing all right in the middle. You got a decent left outside linebacker. You got right outside linebacker. You have a decent middle linebacker. They run out of the 3 forms, so you have 2 middle linebackers. To explain what that is, I'll write this down. So there are 2 types of defenses that are run, 2 types of forms. I mean, of course, there's the Tampa D and shit like that. Basically, there's 2 basic forms. There is the, for those who don't know this, I'm going to write this down for you. There's the 3-4 and the 4-3. The 3-4 runs out of, if I could write, defensive end, defensive tackle, defensive end. Four, 3 runs out of 1, 2, 3, 4. There. Sorry, my handwriting's not so great. The 3-4 is run out of, let me see if I'm pointing right, this way. There are 3 defensive linemen. There's the defensive end, the defensive tackle, and the defensive end. Then there are 4 linebackers. Doesn't always have to be outside, middle, outside. A lot of times teams, prime example of that is actually the Ravens. They'll run outside, 1 middle linebacker, then an outside. The 4-3 is run complete opposite. Sure, I'm pointing at the right one. Yes, I am. Where it's 4 defensive linemen and 3 linebackers. I prefer the 4-3. Am I talking about the Browns? Run out of the 3-4. Last I checked. So let's get back to what I was talking about. So their defense slightly shaky, but so that probably really wasn't the big problem either. I don't know why I went on that giant tangent. Now that I think about it. I was talking about Brandon Weeden. Let's get back to that. Now he's backing up Tony Romo in Dallas. Dallas, he's faced with the same problem. Offensive line. You really don't have to worry about it. If they send 5-6 guys in the box, worry about it. But really, you don't. You got La'el Collins, Zach Martin. I got to think who they got at the other guard. I forget who everybody is. Stellar offensive line. I hate the Cowboys, but you got to give credit where credit's due. Their offensive line is fantastic. You don't have anybody in the backfield, much like you did in. Well, actually, they had Trent Richardson, so nobody. I was right the first time in Cleveland when he was in Cleveland. But who do you have at receiver? Nobody. Devin Street out of Pitt. Kind of young. I don't trust him. And Jason Witten at tight end. That's it. You're fucked. That's all I can say. You are fucked. Your history with the Browns shows when you don't have any like Julio and Roddy White because you're with Dallas and they don't have anybody. They paid all their money to Dez, hence why they don't have anybody on offense except Jason Witten. I think that they lose this week. But that's because it's not as much to do with Brandon Weeden. It's simply the team is not prepared, and neither is Brandon Weeden. So really, again, 50% Brandon Weeden's fault. The Bears have Jay Cutler out with a hamstring injury. Jimmy Clausen comes in. All right, does this injury really matter? I mean, I know plenty of Chicago fans who are happy to see Jay Cutler go. As a Lions fan, I'm more than happy to see him go, too. You go to Jimmy Clausen. This was discussed this morning on, what's the morning show for the NFL? It changed names, so now I don't know what it is. It used to be NFL Mornings, and now it's something else. Anyway, they discussed this. That might actually be an upgrade. What I mean is, let's look at when, I'm trying to think, was it the Thanksgiving game? I think it was the Thanksgiving game. Clausen came in, Cutler sat. Jimmy Clausen played, it was against Detroit, pretty well. And of course, given it was against Detroit, but not bad. Offensive line's all right in Chicago. You've got, now he was out this past weekend, but let's say next weekend you've got Alshon Jeffrey. That gives you one big weapon. You still got Bennett, Mike Bennett's brother. I think who else they have at receiver? Eddie Royal. Kevin White's out with an injury, like a hip injury or something like that. I'm trying to think. That's pretty much it. The guy that stood out last weekend, this past Sunday, I don't know his name. But, maybe he'll have another good week, and who knows. But in the backfield, you have Matt Forte and Jeremy Langford. So, as a quarterback, personally, I think Jimmy can take a breather. He doesn't have to worry about it. You got a couple pretty good receivers. You got a good tight end. But you got Matt Forte. I don't need to throw the ball. I can just turn around and hand the ball off and watch him do his thing. I don't have to throw it. That would be in the back of my mind if I was Jimmy Clausen. Oh, man, I have to start. Shit. Oh, I have Matt Forte. What do I got to worry about? You don't. You have a good running back. Now, there was a big question asked because of last night's game. Last night, the Jets played the Colts. I'm looking at something else I've written down about the Eagles. The Jets upset the Colts. Colts are 0-2. The reason I brought up the Eagles are 0-2. The Jets play the Eagles this week. And it was a big question asked on the Dan Patrick Show, which I actually have on right now. Eagles versus Jets. You know, what should we be looking for in that matchup, and what should the coaches be expecting? And it was a question brought up, and so Dan answered it the way Dan does, and I'm going to answer it the way I want to answer it. Dan said something to the fact of Chip Kelly might want to start talking to some colleges, because if he loses to the Jets, he's going to have some problems with the decisions he's made in Philly. I have to personally agree with him. You know, you traded really good players away, and you got players who are okay. You traded away. No, they let him go. Sorry, they didn't attempt to re-sign him. Jeremy Maclin. Jeremy Maclin's now in Chiefs uniform. That was a big mistake. They traded away Deshaun Jackson last year. They traded him away or let him go in some fashion. And now he's with Washington. That's a big mistake. Who did you replace them with? Those are two big receivers in your offense. Who did you replace them with? Nelson Aguilar out of the University of Southern California. Rookie. I have question marks on him. Matthews, who I believe is yet to catch a pass. I think he's caught one, now that I think about it. He's thrown him like 4 times. He's dropped most of them. Now I have to make sure I say this correctly. I think it's off center. I gotta make sure I say this a certain way. Allegedly. The alleged racist Riley Cooper, that nobody on the team seems to like. You have him at receiver. He's not gonna do shit. So you don't have anybody at receiver. Tight end, different story. You got a couple okay tight ends. Your offensive line, not that great. You've let go a few people. In the backfield, again, this is the way I'm going to word this, and I'll explain. You have great running back by committee. You let go of, I don't even know how many Pro Bowls he went to, like 3 or 4. LaShawn Shady McCoy. You let him go. Big mistake. You traded him for Kiko Alonso, linebacker. Granted, you need another big linebacker in the middle there to help yourself out. Yeah, that helped your defense, but your offensive production is going to go down the shitter because he was pretty much your entire team. You get DeMarco Murray. Great pickup. DeMarco Murray, good running back. But your offensive line's not very good, so he's going to have to fight for those yards. He might have a season. Then you went and got Ryan Matthews. You're going to play him part of the time. Darren Sproles. You're going to play him part of the time. I'm seeing issues here. You have DeMarco Murray. Did fantastic last season. Very good shifty back. Can catch out of the backfield. Has good speed. Can run you over if you're in the right position and he gets you just right. He can knock you over. Ryan Matthews. More of a nose downhill type running back. Likes to hit you. You probably want to use him in short yardage, but they'll use him for pretty much everything. And then you have Darren Sproles. Great kick returner. Decent catcher. Out of the sideline. Out of the backfield. And he's got good quickness. So if you're going to run with all 3 of those, which they said they're going to, how do you intend on having a good team chemistry? Because, as I just said, all 3 of them are very different. The running back by committee. Well, the only way a running back by committee would work is if you had 3 running backs who have the same basic use. For instance, if I had, let me think of 3 If I had Joyce Bell, Frank Gore, and Carlos Hyde, pick those three. I know two of them. One of them is a former Niner, and the other one is a Niner. That has nothing to do with this. All three of them mostly power backs, real good run downhill. That would be fine. Running back by committee. Frank Gore is going to get 5 carries. Joyce Bell is going to get 5 carries, and Carlos is going to get 5 carries. That would be perfect. All of them are kind of the same. Don't have to really rethink a lot. With the Eagles, you have to rethink how you're going to work this because I got a guy who can flat out fly. I've got Murray who can juke you out of your pants. And I've got Matthews who's going to run you. Wait a minute. He's going to run you down by, the term is trucking you over. Where's the chemistry there? You have 3 completely different backs. So, that's a huge problem. And then you got rid of your number 1 quarterback in Nick Foles, who's doing just fine. And you got, who in return? Sam Bradford. The guy that's played like 4 games ever. Torn his ACL 900 times now. Just to clarify, twice. Same one though. He's only torn twice. So I don't know. Then they turned around and cut Tim Tebow. I don't understand that either. He fit your offense. But should Chip Kelly be looking for a job next year? Was the big question asked on the Dan Patrick Show. Now that I've run through their offense and everything, you can see where I'm coming from. I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, he needs to look for a job. If they lose to the Jets next week, they end up being 0-3. Yeah, I'm thinking the GM, the owner, anybody who is not fucking retarded is going to go, maybe we were wrong going with you. Maybe our team is really fucked now. So I think he should be looking for a new job. And I don't think anybody in the NFL is really going to be that interested because he's going to make his own decisions, which is great. But those decisions are going to cost your team and cause you to go down the shitter. Now, the other one I want to cover is my own, not covered by the Dan Patrick Show, and that is the Colts. They're 0-2. They're not. Well, I have it on mute now, so I don't know if he says anything about it. Or if he is going to say anything about it. I'm not listening to him. The Colts are 0-2. First, you get beat by the Bills, which was, I think, a shock to the system of the Colts. I don't think they were ready for the Bills to be worth a damn. Because the Bills did terrible defensively last year. Well, they got this crazy guy who shouldn't have been fired in the first place out of the Jets. His name is Rex Ryan. What's Rex Ryan? He's a defensive coach. So what's the first thing they worked on? Defense. What's the next thing they worked on? Offense. Because this crazy thing that Seattle figured out, now they're not doing it, but they did figure it out at one point. Offenses, they're great. They get you points. But your best offense is a defense. If I can stop you from scoring points, my team's probably going to win. My potential increases dramatically. And, that's what the Bills did against the Colts. They shocked them. They figured it's the Bills. Wrong. Watch out for the Bills this season. This past Monday night, they go to the Jets. Again, defense is all right. Their offense, really, again, not great. They got a couple big weapons. But, it's one of those where you go, it's the Colts. They're going to be able to stop them. Wrong. They lost 20-10, I believe is what I read. 20-10 or 20-7. Let me look. I like to get this part right because otherwise I sound like a fucking retard. 20-7. If the Colts go 0-3, I'm not sure who they play this week. If you go 0-3, I think it's like Jacksonville. Should Chuck Pagano be looking for a new job? Or should he be fine? Even at 0-2, should he maybe start looking through that little binder full of people who are probably going to get fired this next season? and go, we're going to go. I say no, not at 0-2. At 0-2, I think you're all right. I think 0-3, you're on very thin ice. You need to start looking, but don't look too hard. If you can bounce back after, like I said, 2 losses would be best. After this loss, bounce back against Jacksonville and try and keep your team above, 500, or at least get them to 500 or above. This is actually a contract year for Chuck Pagano. If you go to 0-3, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'd probably consider job searching, but I'd also be considering what I need to do to my team to make it better. And I'm not sure to them, what that would be. Dan Patrick covered this question, which I thought was a good question, that's why I wrote it down. Who would you rather face defensively, on a team? J.J. Watt or Darrelle Revis? Who would you rather have on your defense? And my answer, hands down, is J.J. Watt. Why? I don't think Darrelle Revis does shit. He's not as good as people think he is. That's my opinion. I don't like him. I think he's I'm not saying he's not a good corner. He's a very good corner. But I think the whole Revis Island thing is a little overthrown. Because Revis Island, when he was in Patriots, how many interceptions did he have? 1? 2? Something like that. It was like 1 or 2. You batted down a lot of balls. Okay, I give him credit for that. You bat down balls. Great for you. But your interception numbers aren't that great, which is the big hype behind you. It's not that he can stop you by batting down the ball. It's that you throw a ball near him and he'll pick it off. Well, clearly not, because if you only have 2 interceptions in an entire fucking year and you play 16 teams, 17 weeks, yeah, I'm thinking your job is, maybe you're not doing so great. They also have Antonio Cromartie, who's also very good. But this question's about Darrelle Revis. Then you have J.J. Watt. And the big question behind J.J. Watt is there anything this fucker can't do? That's the big question. At this moment, I have no answer for that. He shocks me. Put him at tight end. He's a defensive player. He's not going to catch the holy shit he caught it. Oh, they're going to have him down in the red zone? I doubt they'll throw to him. He swings past, swings his arm out, throws it towards Watt. He's not going to score that touchdown. Oh, shit, he just did it. How the fuck did he do that? A couple minutes later, forces a fumble, picks it up, takes it to the house. How the fuck? So, my number one guy in that question, Revis or Watt, would be Watt. In fact, in general, now my team, my fantasy team, just to explain my thoughts here, because I have crazy thoughts. ADD's a bitch. If we had individual defensive players, IDPs, on my team, one of the players I would absolutely have been looking for, we don't. We have individual defense, just defenses. Defenses, I apologize if I could speak English. Would have been J.J. Watt. Now, so far, going into week 3, I apologize. Going into week 3, it's hard to say, which team is most impressive. And I actually have, because it's me, a team that I am most impressed with. And that is the Falcons. Their defense looks amazing. They have a complete 360 turnaround. Last season, they couldn't stop anybody. This year, I don't know if anybody is going to be able to beat the defense. The offense is still looking just as impressive as it has. They got a couple better weapons. Their offensive line's looking a lot better. Matt Ryan, his nickname is Matty Ice, because he has ice in his veins. It's supposed to be the thing. He's very cool under pressure. Matt Ryan is playing fantastic. And I have one thing else to say about that offense, and that's Julio Jones. That fucker, I swear, catches everything thrown to him. He's doing a fantastic job. Kudos. That would be my most impressive team so far, my team to look out for. Of course, everybody also has a favorite team, just defensively. And that would be Denver right now. Their defense, I think, is very hot. Their offense, their defense is keeping them in check. I didn't write this down, but I'd like to cover it anyway. So everyone that is a huge football fan like myself, or at least everyone I've talked to, has kind of, sleeper teams. Teams you think that, they're probably not going to win their division, but damn, do you hate to go to their place and play them. And one of my sleeper teams is actually Oakland. The Oakland Raiders. Derek Carr is red hot, their quarterback. He's playing fantastic football. Their backfield, not so great. Need a little work. Their offensive line's doing all right. They have two huge receivers, and Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree. And covering both of them is a little bit difficult. And so that's one of my teams, really to keep an eye on. Their defense is playing pretty good football. I'm trying to think. My other team to keep an eye out for is, of course, the Cardinals. They were my sleeper team last year. They're not so much a sleeper team anymore, but they're definitely my team to keep an eye on. Carson Palmer is Carson Palmer. I mean, damn when that boy plays. Cardinals win football games. All right, that's pretty much everything I got to cover for the NFL. Now, big things going on in college ball. First thing, who's 3-0? 3-0 going in week 3? Oh, Notre Dame. I think we're ranked in the top 5 now, I believe. Top 5. We were top 10, I know. I think we're top 5. I think we're 5th. 5th or 6th. One of the two. I haven't looked at the rankings in a while. Another big news. And all I could do was smile when I saw the score. Alabama lost. Dumbasses. I'm glad they lost. I cannot stand Alabama. OSU. The thing I wrote for OSU is bridge over troubled quarterback waters. Of course, then I'll cover part of Northern Illinois. The Auburn-LSU game. And whether or not who they think they should maybe bench for that coming up. Okay. Time for my in-depth analysis of at least one team. OSU in this case. Notre Dame. Okay, so Malik Zaire goes out week 2. Everybody's a little worried. Deshaun Kaiser, rookie quarterback, freshman quarterback. I wrote rookie because I'm used to saying that. Freshman quarterback comes in, and he was a little bumpy in the beginning. He was, there are going to be growing pains. The kid's a freshman, but I liked his progression throughout the game. He started making better reads. He started hitting open receivers a little bit more, and this little guy started catching the ball. And Deshaun figured out, if I throw the ball to him, he's going to catch. And his name is Will Fuller. Ever heard of him? He's only 5th on ESPN's pass receiving leaders. I don't know who that is. Will Fuller is amazing. And I'm very happy that he plays for us. Boy can't be stopped. And, of course, the defense just stood tall. We stopped them from scoring early in the game, and that kept our team, moving downfield. Of course, we played Georgia Tech, and a lot of people are going to argue with me about your defense stood tall. Well, they scored 15 points in the last 2 minutes. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not the defensive coordinator, although if I was him, I'd be pretty pissed at my team. But we were mostly able to stop the run. We were able to stall out their drives. And when we didn't stall out the drive, per se, we were keeping them in 2nd and long, 3rd and long, making it so they had to work for the first down. And that's always fun to watch. Now, I made a little pun poke at OSU, and I wrote it again. Quarterback over troubled water. Bridge over troubled quarterback waters. And the reason I said that is Ohio State played Northern Illinois last week. Cardale Jones, 4 completions for 9 attempts, 36 yards, 2 interceptions. JT Barrett, 11 for 19. 97 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Braxton Miller, 1 throw for 1 completion, that many yards, 3. 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, because he only threw the ball once. Is the whole big quarterback thing not working in Ohio State? Or did somebody leave in that offensive line that they can't replace? I'm not sure. I'm not a huge Ohio State fan. I watch them. I don't have a problem with Ohio State. My cousin's a huge Ohio State fan. But I really think they're having trouble at quarterback. Stats don't lie. To be honest with you, that makes 4 total INTs this year. That's interceptions. Already for Cardale Jones. That's a troubling stat. Now, see, it wouldn't be as troubling if you looked at it in that game and it was 2 touchdowns for 2 interceptions. Okay, he was probably trying to score and he just threw the wrong guy. But you didn't score a touchdown. That's troubling news. That's not good. Not saying he's not a good quarterback. I'm saying that's just that's not good. He needs to get back to, last year's form when he stepped in out of fucking nowhere and threw for 3-4 touchdowns and 1 interception here or there. JT Barrett, I think, played pretty well, but again, needs a little work. Not bad. Not a bad game. 11 for 19, not bad. I believe that's what I've written down here. Yeah, it is. That's not too bad. Only 8 incompletions, 1 interception. Again, now see, that's what I meant here with if it had been 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Okay, it's possible that you just threw to the wrong guy, or you thought somebody was open. I didn't watch the game, and you threw to that guy, and oh shit, he's not, or you overthrew him, or you underthrew him, or whichever, to get the interception. That happens. But Braxton Miller only threw the ball once. He only gained 3 yards with that pass. I have a feeling that was probably more of a wildcat throw, kind of a pitch out to him and have him throw it. I'm not going to go through wildcat right now. Basically what that is your running back's in the backfield. He hands it off to the quarterback who's lined up as a receiver, and he throws it. That's the easiest way to explain that. If you don't understand what I meant, Google it. I don't feel like going through it right now. And that's not me being lazy. It's just I don't feel like explaining that. It's pretty self-explanatory. So my next question was, okay, well, if you're not throwing the ball well and you're having trouble at quarterback, maybe you're rushing to conclusions. Rushing being running the ball. Wrong. Ezekiel Elliott, their number 1 running back. 23 rushes for 108 yards. And I thought I was covering Ezekiel Elliott, not Adrian Peterson, 0 touchdowns. That's a sad stat. Because normally when you've given the ball 23 times, now it may just be that they didn't do it down in the red zone. Might explain the whole the problem with touchdowns. But traditionally, you get down on the red zone, that's within the 20-yard line. You're looking at maybe a short throw. Maybe once in a long while. Sorry, a hair went my ear and bugged me. You throw one deep just to fool people. But for the most part, down in the red zone, you're running the ball. You're handing it off to the running back, see how many yards you can get. Like I said, maybe a short throw, a nice little slant route to your slot receiver, or run a tight end underneath, and you just hit that guy for 3-4 yards. This is where your option plays that they love to run in Ohio State come in handy. Option is, for those who don't know, your quarterback lines up in a shotgun formation. That is, I'm going to go back to that page a second where I doodled that the first time. Let me write it down real quick. Okay, that's what it looks like. Line up in the shotgun. You got, here, I'll do this. You've got receiver, or receiver tight end, depending on how you run it out. Your offensive line, receiver, tight end, or tight end receiver, or receiver. And you have your quarterback and your receiver and your running back. That can be flip-flopped. That's what that arrow means. Now, an option is exactly that. Your quarterback has it. He snaps the ball, and he hands it off. Now, as he's handing it off, he makes the decision based on what the defense is doing. Do I hand the ball off to my running back and just let him go? Or do I go, never mind, and hold on to it myself and run? Now, this is something Ohio State's very good at. Kind of like with Seattle. They're very good at running the option. That's a play that you want to run in the red zone because it fools people. You do a couple hands-offs, maybe a toss, another couple handoffs, and then you do the option. Because they go, okay, is he running? Or are they going to throw it? What's going on here? It's confusing. And since I'm going to be explaining things, I will explain Wildcat offense. I didn't run it when I played ball, so I don't know what it looks like entirely. Traditionally, that's what it looks like. You got wide receiver. Make sure I'm pointing at the right thing. Wide receiver, quarterback. The circles are your offensive line. Wide receiver, sometimes, not always, to the other side. And then your running back is in the backfield. He snaps the ball. Your quarterback. Now, depending on, again, it can also be run with a quarterback as a running back. There are certain type quarterbacks that are running backs. They're better at running than they are at throwing. And you can either drop him down and have a handoff and have the quarterback throw it, or you can run it, or you'll run him out on some kind of little route and have the running back throw it. That's something that Ohio State started running since they removed Braxton Miller from the quarterback position. He's now considered a running back, but they use him more as like a receiver. Catching the ball, which I agree with and disagree with. I agree with it in the case that it obviously must work, otherwise you wouldn't do it. At the same time, he's such a good quarterback that it's like, why don't you just leave him there? You might need him, like they do right now. But like I said, they may have been rushing to conclusions, running the ball. Well, then I looked up Curtis Samuel. He had 3 rushes for 20 yards, no touchdowns. Not bad. I mean, he is your backup, but only 3 carries? It's a little low. I get Ezekiel Elliott's your main guy, but it's like your backup probably should have gotten. Now, see, if that was a 5 or a 6, I wouldn't say anything. 5, 6 carries, you're maxing out. If your backup's getting 10 carries, something must have happened to your main guy. Anywhere between 5 and 8 is probably about average. JT Barrett, of course, your quarterback, had 3 rushes for 18 yards. Now, normally I'd say, because of how much they like to run, that's not good. But at the same time, it is. Only 18 yards. No touchdowns. That means at least he had the conscience to most likely protect himself. You know what? Only 18 yards. That's not going very far. Of course, it's spread out over 3 times. So he's roughly getting... I don't feel like doing math right now. X amount of yards per carry. I don't feel like doing it. I'm bad at math, so I don't feel like doing it. I don't have a calculator, so... probably a simple math problem, too. But anyway... he carries the ball. He's most likely trying to just protect himself and fool the defense. Cardale Jones, 2 carries for 11 yards. Again, probably did it with an option, or he had to scramble out. And the only reason he got 11 is because he slid to protect himself. So that's smart. And Braxton Miller ran it 4 times for 7 yards, which I'm not sure how to feel about, because that's kind of a low number for Braxton Miller. And it's not just because it's Braxton Miller. If JT had done it, I'd done the same thing. Which is going, that's a little low. Did Miller get sacked? At 18-11 with JT and Cardale, there's a good chance they got sacked somewhere, and that's why they lost yardage. It's considered technically a rush. So, I don't know. Maybe that's what happened to Braxton. I'm not sure. And there was only 1 receiving touchdown in the entire game. That was by Michael Thomas. He had 3 receptions for 60 yards. That's concerning. We only have 1 guy score. Ugh. No rushing touchdowns. Damn, your defense must have stood up big time and gotten some big turnovers, because otherwise it's looking a little sad. Hopefully they can brush up on their playbook and play extremely better next week. I'm hopeful for Ohio State. But, I get it. Shit happens. Okay. The next game I want to talk about, I'm not going to go in big depth with. And that, of course, is the Alabama game. And I'm just going to talk about the quarterback, because it basically sums up how the game was played. They had 21 passes, completions, out of Coker, their starter, for 45 attempts, 201 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Right there, I'm saying something is seriously fucking wrong in Alabama. Why are you throwing the ball? Amari Cooper and DeAndre White are gone. Why are you throwing it? You have one of the best running backs in college football. Why are you throwing it? Somebody fucked up. Or their running wasn't getting anywhere, and they thought, instead of running the ball like they've always done, let's throw it. I don't think that's the best decision. I mean, I've seen your running back in Derrick Henry, and holy fuck would I hate to be trying to take him down. Mostly because he'd lower that pad and knock me the fuck out. Then, of course, they put in their backup. It's either Bachman or Bakeman. B-A-K-M-A-N. I'm going to say Bakeman. I could be wrong. I don't really give a fuck. That's kind of how I am on here. Don't know if you noticed that or not. He went 11 for 14. That's more acceptable. You're handing the ball off more. You're not trying to force football. He only had 87 yards. Close to 100. Probably 120 would have been my thought throughout the game. But whatever. 0 touchdowns. Ouch. Here's where the bigger ouch comes in. 1 interception. Ole Miss. Kelly, 18 for 33. Not bad. 3 touchdowns. All right. Here's where the big, lovely piece is placed on top of the cake. Know how many interceptions he threw? Nada. No wonder Ole Miss won. You let Kelly throw all over your defense. You didn't pick him off. That's a serious head scratcher, and I didn't do that just because I had scratched my head. I actually had an itch. But, they lost, which is so much fun. I'm so happy. Another game I'd like to really quick cover. It's the game that I have up. Actually, no, I have Bama up. Never mind. I'll cover him real quick. Derrick Henry, the guy I just mentioned, the running back, had 23 carries for 127 yards, 5.5 yards per carry. Thank you, ESPN. With 1 touchdown. That's sad. Jake Coker, your quarterback, had 1 touchdown, 7 rushes for 58 yards. The fact that he's running at all is sad. Just because of how how Alabama's culture is. Quarterbacks shouldn't really have to run that much. They did last year because they had more of a run-style quarterback. Kenya Drake, however the hell you pronounce his name, he's their backup. 11 rushes, 33 yards, 0 touchdowns. That's not bad, but would have liked to see at least 1 touchdown out of him. Or Adrian Stewart, who had 1 rush for -3 yards. Now, on Ole Miss's side, I'm not going to cover everyone like I did with Alabama because they only had 4 guys running. The Ole Miss had 6 people running the ball. Jordan Wilkins, 7 carries, 39 yards, 5.6 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. Jalen Walton, 12 carries, 33 yards, 2.8 yards a carry, 0 touchdowns. Chad Kelly, the fucking quarterback, 8 rushes, 21 yards, 2.6 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. So, Alabama, kind of wondering where your defense was. Were they taking a nap? Did they decide to go in the locker room and just say, fuck this? I mean, I have some serious questions. But, stats don't always tell the truth. So, I didn't watch the game. I watched bits and pieces here and there. I wasn't really all that interested because I thought what most people thought, which was, it's Ole Miss. Ole Miss has an alright quarterback. They got a decent run game. They got a couple good receivers. But it's Alabama. Alabama's going to rape them. Wrong. Which is, unfortunate. But, shit happens. To cover real quick, I know I said I was skipping past the NFL. I'm going to quick cover this because I thought it'd be interesting. I wasn't sure if I'd do it. Big upsets last week. There aren't very many of them. The Cardinals beat the Bears. That's not really an upset. Not an upset. The Falcons won 24-20. That was, I considered that not really an upset, just surprised at how close the game was. Here's an upset for you. The Raiders beat the Ravens, I apologize, 37-33. That must have been a good game because I live in Michigan. I didn't get to watch the game, which pisses me off. Nope. Not really. Other than that, there's really not any upsets, per se. Big ones, anyway. Yeah, not really any big upsets. Packers beat the Seahawks 27-17. Cowboys beat the Eagles 20-10. There's kind of an upset. Not really, but a little bit. The only other upset on here was the Jets and the Colts, which the Colts lost 20-7. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Okay. Before I finish this, I need to make sure I go for exactly 1 more minute. Then we'll be exactly an hour. Time for me to cover the one thing I know a lot of people are going to hate me for going over. But this is when it gets interesting. And that is... Oh, wait. I have one more little piece of news just before that. Hockey starts soon in October. Coming up. So it's my 21st birthday. I'll be able to drink on cam. NASCAR starts its playoff. This is the part you guys don't want to hear, I'm sure. But it is kind of where it gets interesting. Currently in their 16-driver playoff is Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Jamie McMurray, Jordan, God damn it, Jeff Gordon, if I could speak fucking English. I almost did it again. Ryan Newman. I don't know if anybody understands where I almost fucked up there. Say something in the comments, please. I'll give you a hint. I was thinking Paul Newman. I'll just say, I'll fucking say it. I was thinking Paul Newman. I don't know why I thought that when I read that name. I should have written his first name down. Paul Menard and Boyer. Currently already in for this, I think it goes from 16 to 12. Yeah, it's 4 guys eliminated. Already in for the 12 bracket, because he won last weekend, is Denny Hamlin. Don't know where they race next. Maybe, since I went ahead and told you this, when I do my next one, I'll tell you when the race is, if anybody cares. If you don't, feel free to comment that you don't care, because I'll just cover who's in. I won't cover the race. In fact, I probably just won't anyway. NASCAR is and isn't boring. It has its moments where it's just a bore. And there's other moments that are really interesting. This particular way they set up who wins, very interesting. Because you win, you're in. They give you 16 people, and then they cut it on down until they get to 4. And those 4 guys, whoever finishes ahead of the other 3, wins in the last race, which is pretty cool. It's last year they did this for the first time, and it was the most exciting race I'd seen in forever. That's the end of this podcast. As always, big thank you goes out to Joe Rogan and the JRE, the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. His episodes and lovely, lovely commentary is on iTunes, YouTube, and Ustream. Also, a big thank you goes out to Zions, the only energy drink I drink. No calories, no sugar, no crash. I thought I'd try that out. I won't do that ever again. Don't worry. It gives you the power to win. I actually didn't know that was their slogan. Performance energy drink. It's the only energy drink I drink. Mango guava is the flavor I am drinking today. The flavor I am today. It's almost what I said. The crazy things that you say that come into your mind that you got to make sure you put in line. Jumbled thoughts, things like that. That's pretty much it. Yeah, you guys all have yourselves a wonderful day, evening, morning, whenever the fuck you watch this. And, well, enjoy my little tidbits. I'm sure I'll put another one on another podcast up here. I have a strong feeling that I'm going to continue doing this. Because again, you guys have a wonderful time. Bye.